I went, I saw I had a text from Emma.
Okay, let's
She
get
said
this
she
going,
invited
bro.
the new babysitter to stay for dinner and asked if I would get enough food for her to eat too. I messaged back that I would. I called in the food order on my way to my car in the parking garage. When I got to the place, I only had to wait 5 minutes. The new employee, the young woman with green eyes, quite welcome. Thank you very much, he said. I suddenly
I'm
realized
about to
that
go
there was something
crazy,
familiar
bro.
about her. It only took me a moment to place it. She reminded me of Georgia. They both had a similar kind of secretive look to them, as if they knew something the rest of the world didn't. After so many years as a detective, I'd gotten good at reading people. But I was surprised when the similarities between the two women struck an alarming chord deep in my gut. Normally, I would have chalked that knowing look up to youth not get tainted by the world. But not tonight. I watched the woman walk back toward the kitchen, feeling kind of ill. Before she moved through the kitchen doors, she glanced over her shoulder at me with a small smile on her face. Then she was gone, and I was walking out of the restaurant, trying to shake off the feeling. But even after I got into my car and headed toward the Belushi house, I couldn't get the young woman's smile out of my head. It wasn't a pleasant customer service smile. There was something wicked about it.
There was
Something
something
evil.
evil. Ha 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 ha. Welcome in. Make sure you like the live. Or not, I don't know. I don't care.
Since last Wednesday. Maybe I was just too out of it. I needed to eat a good meal, relax with the Belushis, and then get a good night's rest.
Man, I'm getting my butt kicked.
The new babysitter answered the door when I got to the Belushi house.
Like,
Hi, she said, extending one slender
I think.
hand. We shook hands. I'm Lance. Delilah, she said. Nice to meet you. The kids have told me all about you. She smiled. You're a cop, right? Yeah, a detective. Wow, she said,
Man,
still
I'm getting
smiling.
my butt kicked.
I got that uneasy feeling again as I recognized something in her smile. Why did she remind me of the woman from the Thai place and Georgia? Okay, now I know it's me. I thought, I'm losing it. Suspecting every young woman I see of what? Nothing. I just need to relax. We moved into the house. I said hello to everyone and gave Emma a hug. Then I set the food out on the table and we all sat down to eat. Oops,
I'm gonna get my butt kicked
I
right
forgot to
here.
call my mom and tell her I'd be eating here. Be right back. Don't wait to eat on my account. She got up and left the room, pulling her phone out of her capri pants. The rest of us dug in. Anna dominated the conversation, often speaking with a mouthful of food as she told me about her week. After about 10 minutes, I realized Delilah still wasn't back. I'd been so caught up in conversation with Anna that I hadn't even given it much thought. I stopped chewing and looked around. Delilah? I called. Everything all right? Everything's fine. Sorry. Be right there. She was on the opposite side of the house, it sounded like. I wondered what she was doing, but I kept eating. Several more minutes passed. Maybe it was the food in my stomach, but I started to feel drowsy. I could hardly keep my eyes open.
Damn, I'm getting
I
my
felt
butt kicked.
sluggish.
Hey, how are you, Candy Man?
All conversation had stopped. I looked over toward Anna, who was leaning back in her chair, with her eyes closed.
Damn, I'm getting my butt kicked though,
Finally
bro.
said, face scrunched up, head hanging down toward his
I
feet.
hope I could buy
Ah,
stuff.
me too, Emma said, slurring her words. What's happening? Is there a gas leak? I looked down at my plate, with 3/4 of the food gone.
Play some music.
It's the food.
They'll give me a copyright strike.
Remembering the look on the blonde woman's face as she went back into the kitchen. Lurching up on the table, I knocked my chair over and barely kept to my feet. I swayed like I was blackout drunk.
Or I
I still
would.
reached for my weapon in my shoulder
It
holster.
isn't TikTok.
Delilah! I cried, stumbling out of the dining room, knowing that she had something to do with this. Behind me, Emma tried to stand up, but she toppled forward.
A song by you?
Lifted the floor and shouted.
I'd have to find it.
I swiveled my too heavy head that way.
So you play songs?
And to keep my eyes open.
I'll have to check
Suddenly
you out.
realizing what I needed to do, I reached into my pocket with my free hand, going for my phone. Delilah stepped in front of me, looking up into my face with those big
Probably get
eyes.
more views than me, man.
Eyes that held a knowing smirk. A sinister spark.
YouTube hasn't been liking me lately.
Delayed realization of a head trauma victim.
No platforms have.
She had Anthony's metal baseball bat in her hands. She swung the bat at me.
So you make music?
I dodged and to get
I'd
my
love to
balance
check it out, but I
simultaneously.
can't like add
The
people on
other
here.
drugs and
It's
food
weird.
made both impossible. The bat struck my left temple, and I went down hard. Consciousness came back slowly, in ragged pieces that melted with the nightmare world I still had one foot in. It was bright wherever I was. I opened my eyes, finding that I was still inside the Palucci house, still where I'd fallen on the floor after Delilah hit me with the baseball bat. With my head swimming and limbs still heavy, I pushed off the
No,
floor
I just
without
mean
my
I'm not
knees.
on my.
I said, looking
I'd have to look it up on my TV, and it's not the easiest.
The plates from the night before were still on the table. Leftover food was still adorning them. I got to my feet, groaning and gripping my head with pain. Emma? Anthony? Anna? Nothing. No sound. The house felt empty. The morning sunlight streaming through the windows made me wonder what time it was.
If I wasn't in bed, I would
I
do it.
searched for my phone but couldn't find it. Then
I'm
I saw
trying to
my
go to
pistol
sleep.
on the floor. I bent down to grab it, my head hammering. Panic started filtering through my drowsiness.
Sing the song for me, bro.
They'd been taken. I
I'm
knew
just
it,
playing.
but I still searched the house, looking in every room, finding them all empty. My heart hammered, my palms grew sweaty, and my thoughts only repeated the worst possible outcomes. I kept picturing Emma and Anna and Anthony dead, their eyes open, staring at me. I needed help. It was all I could think of. But I had no phone. There was no landline in the house. But I still had no keys. I ran outside and got into my car. I reached for where the radio would be in my unmarked police car. But I wasn't in my unmarked car. I was in my personal vehicle. So I started up the engine and tore down
I would.
the street.
It would probably be hard to find
Panic
because
conquered my thoughts and prevented
I would
me
have
from
to use my remote on my phone.
falling back on my training. I couldn't let anything happen to Emma.
If I was on my computer, I'd do it for you, bro.
For all I knew, they were already dead. I couldn't bear the thought. Instead of pulling into the parking garage, I pulled up out front, leaving my car illegally parked as I jumped out and ran into the lobby. Help! I need help! There's been a kidnapping! The desk sergeant ran up to me, calling for assistance on his radio. Calm down, detective, he said. Just tell me what
Candyman King. I'll have to check out your
Several
song.
other officers came down to help. Most of them had either known Joe Palucci
I'll try and look it
or
up.
had known of him. So when I told them it
Is
was
it on
his
your
wife and the
YouTube?
kids that had gone
It's
missing,
just not an easy way to add people on here.
a couple of units raced over to the Thai place, even though it was barely 9 in the morning, and it wouldn't be open for another 2 hours. Several other units raced over to the Palucci place to start the investigation. Meanwhile, I was brought upstairs to the detective's bullpen. Many of the detectives had already gone over to
Let
the
me
Palucci
beat this
house,
level and then
leaving
I'll
my
try.
wife from behind. They stood nervously near their desks, watching me walk into the room. I passed Georgia on the way in, sitting at her little desk at the corner of the bullpen. She looked up at me, and I did a double take, seeing that her normal doe-eyed look was gone. She was smirking. Breaking free of my friend and fellow detective named Jeff Levine, I lurched over to her and slammed my hands on her desk. What
Yeah,
the
I got
fuck are
my
you
butt
smirking
kicked.
about? Did you have something to do with this?
We'll try and find it.
If it had ever been there at all. Her face twisted into a frightened sneer. Whoa, man! What did you do? Levine said, grabbing me and pulling me away. What happened? Georgia asked in her small, innocent voice. Levine ignored her, and I let it go. I had no evidence against her. Nothing but a gut feeling. Levine shoved me into a desk chair and pulled up a seat beside me.
Heck yeah, Rampage.
What happened?
I'm not even sure what that is.
The other 3 detectives and my lieutenant gathered around to listen. I opened my mouth and stopped, peering around the bullpen. Where's Rich? I asked. Levine looked at me
I
impatiently.
got you, fool.
He hasn't come in yet. What do you mean? I asked. He always gets here at 8. Always. Well, when you both didn't show up, we figured you were out working some angle. I remembered Rich saying something about a date with a new woman. Oh, no.
I'll check it out.
Oh, please, no. Not again. What? What is it? Call him, I said. call Rich, right now. Seeing the seriousness on my face, Levine nodded, stood up.
Let's see if I can get this.
The other detectives gave him some room, then started pelting me with questions as Levine moved absently over.
Alright, we're almost at the end of the level.
To his ear. I stared at him for a moment.
Then I'll check out your song.
On the phone, and that everything would be fine. But after several long moments, I dropped my head into my hands, knowing that Rich wouldn't pick up. Detective! Georgia screamed. I pulled my head up and looked over at her. She stood behind Levine, up on her tiptoes, so she could press the blade of the box cutter to the detective's neck. The room went preternaturally silent as everyone tried to process this turn of events. Levine had his hands up, his phone still in my phone. I could barely hear the tinny voice asking him to leave a message on Rich's voicemail. Levine's eyes were wide.
Hey, what's up? I'm the king. How are you?
She said to Levine. That smirk was back on her face. Put that down, or I'll open your jugular right now. She pressed the razor blade into his neck slightly, drawing blood to demonstrate her seriousness. Levine dropped his hands. Despite their big
Right foot creep. I am the king.
She had her back facing the corner, so it would be
Open.
impossible for someone to come up behind her. What are you doing,
Alright,
Georgia?
so that level's over. Let me check out your game real quick.
True power, she said. Now tell them to put their weapons down. I looked behind me to see that the other detectives all had their weapons out and pointed at Georgia. They're not going to do that, I said. You know they won't do that. She shrugged with one shoulder. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just here to deliver a message to you, Detective Lance Watkins, and to the world, so they will know his name. Whose name? I asked.
Okay, let's see.
What are you talking about? He holds true power in his hands, Georgia said. And his name is Azrael. The cords of her forearm flexed as she... तुम्हारे बिना जीवन एक सुनहरा है। तुम्हारे साथ मिलना मेरे जीवन की सबसे बड़ी खुशी है। तुम्हारी आंखों में मैं खुद को खो बैठा हूँ। तेरे दिमाग पर न रह पाता हूँ। रात को तारे की नूर पर नींद न आए। तेरे दिन बस वादा बाहर एक जाए। तेरे हुस्न का जादू ऐसा छा जाए, दिल की हसरतें भी सब आधी रह जाए। तुम्हारी हर हंस blood on the tile floor and tried to staunch the flow of blood, but it was no use. His pulse faded less than a minute later. I knelt on the floor next to Levine's lifeless body, staring into his bright blue eyes. Of course he had blue eyes. Of course, because this was all one big fucking joke. One big sick joke pulled by someone named Azrael. Chaos swirled around me as the
I can't tell which one's the
drawn by the gunshots and the quickly spreading news that a cop...
English one.
I was the only one who paid any attention when Levine's phone, which lay nearby on the floor, started ringing. The caller ID said Rich Doherty. Hope came flooding into me as I yanked the phone off. कुछ भी नहीं है तेरी याद में दिल घबराता है मैं चलता हूँ ऑफिस की रात चांदनी रात तारों की बारात हसीन रात चांदनी रात तारे से... There was only one explanation for what was happening. And as I drove out of the city, heading to where the man told me to go, I had a good 2 hours to think about it. The man, who I assumed was Azrael, told me I was not to bring a phone. He said that if I brought a phone, he would
Let's see.
camera first, slowly, in front of her brother and mother. I had no way of knowing how he would be able to tell if I had a phone, but I wasn't willing to risk it. I was chasing shadows night and day, trying to find my way so I'd stay on the path that
lights winding through the dark, hoping for that one shining. So what part did you make? Dancing with the moon up in the sky, stars are winking at me, I can't lie. Lost in this moment where dreams collide. I'll just Suno like an AI? Time slows down when I'm with you. Every second feels so brand new. Caught in this rhythm, hearts entwined. Lost in the moment, love divine. Pick it up. Whispers in the wind calling my name. In this game of love, it's all the same. I was a drifter, now I found my place. In your arms is where I find my grace. Together we can conquer night and day. What happened? Oh, shoot. Calling my name. In a world where love will always stay, we'll keep dancing till the dawn breaks through. Just me and you, love's rendezvous. Time slows down when I'm with you. Every second feels so brand new. Caught in this rhythm, hearts entwined. Lost in the moment, love divine. Man, I'm going back to the game. Cool song though, man. Congratulations. I need to make songs one of these days. We can go. We can watch it another time. I'm getting tired. I'm probably gonna play one more game and then go to bed.
I scanned the staring cultists for weapons, realizing that they all held small knives in their hands. Go, the guy said, shoving me in the back. What are the knives for? But it would all go out the window if these people were going to stab me as I made my way to the church. The blades were all small, but there were enough of them to do me some serious damage. I counted 24 people around the window. Just go, the guy behind me said, shoving me down. As I stepped forward in between the two lines of people, they all raised their hands straight out in front of them, like soldiers on parade. I flinched, thinking they were going to come at me, but they didn't. Instead, they all used their knives to cut small gashes on the backs of their forearms. They started a low chant as they did this, speaking words I couldn't understand as they sliced and then bled, keeping their arms held out and their faces passive. I stared at these people, at the blood running down from their mighty cuts, thinking this wasn't real. People didn't do things like this in real life, did they? But of course they did. Nearly 1,000 souls.
Dang, I'm getting my butt kicked.
At Jonestown, the Heaven's Gate people killed themselves so they could be taken to the next life on the Hale-Bopp Comet. And perhaps most famous of all, Charles Manson's followers killed people for him because he brainwashed them to do his bidding. But it was different seeing it up close. It made my head swim and my guts go watery. And I knew the worst was yet to come. The chanting grew louder as I approached the closed church doors. It was loud enough that it seemed to vibrate the ground under my feet. As I stepped up onto the front terrace, the church doors opened, revealing more identically dressed men and women filling the pews. They were all chanting.
I think I'm gonna die.
They all cut themselves. There had to be a good 200 of them. As my eyes adjusted, I saw 5 people up on the stage. On the left was Rich, tied to a wooden cross that hung on the wall. On the right,
2166.
Anna and Anthony were all tied to similar crosses. Between them, in the middle of the stage, was the man I took to be Azrael. In my head, I'd been expecting a bearded man with fiery eyes and an imposing figure. But what I saw looked more like a diminutive accountant than a hippie prophet. That's not to say he wasn't imposing. His presence seemed larger than life, but that could have been an impression I got, thanks to the show of power he just demonstrated by having his people cut themselves and chant. Azrael wore bright red and orange robes and stared at me with dark, deep-set eyes. He was deeply tanned, and his head was shaved to the scalp. He smiled knowingly at me, the same kind of smile I'd seen on the followers' faces back in the city. When he raised a hand, the chanting stopped, and everyone sat down. My escorts prodded me to the foot of the stage and then forced me down onto my knees, so I was staring up at Azrael. "Detective," he said, "you made it. Welcome to my flock." I said nothing, turning my gaze toward Emma and her kids. The children were crying against...
This game's getting way too hard, bro.
Emma pleaded with her eyes for me to do something, anything. "Why?" I asked, turning back to Azrael. "Why are you doing this?" The man smiled wider. "There comes a time in every leader's life when he must do whatever it takes to get his message across. Because if he doesn't, not enough people will hear it. This is the world we live in, Detective. It's not my fault that people only listen to you after you've done something so heinous and terrible that they have no choice but to open their ears." "But why me? Why them?" I pointed my chin at the Bellucci's. "Detective, you're famous. Don't you know this? You took down the Hush Killer. As soon as I saw you on television, I knew you were the one. I knew you would be my conduit to the rest of the world." I shook my head. "Fine. I'm here now. You have me. You can let them all go and do whatever you want to me." Azrael's laugh filled the high-ceilinged room. His followers laughed with him, mechanically, like holstering dogs.
I think I'm gonna get my butt kicked right now.